Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Gonzo Marino. I'm here doing a quick video because I got some questions that one of my viewers has, and I think they're very important questions. Actually, it's like three questions in one, right? But I think it's very important that I make time and answer these questions real fast because, he's asking me, hey, I got this gig coming up and all this stuff happening. So if I answer this question right now, I might save him the trouble tonight if it's working tonight, right? So anyways, thank you so much for the questions. Thank you so much. You know who you are. And here we go. Let's get started. Let's put a little music intro and here we go. Okay, so what's happening? Here's a question. I'm going to answer it as best as I can. But number one, check out the shirt. I got the Old Smoky lit right now on the backyard. I got some pork chops. Not yet though. I got the charcoal. It's lit, so it's got to take some time to heat up and all that, to warm up, right? To light up. So anyways, and I'm sipping on a Corona. Great, now my video is gonna get flagged because I just said the fucking name. Okay, so anyways, here's a question from the viewer. I'm just having a good time. I'm glad I get this question. Serious questions. I've had questions before that are just like, give me something better, right? Like a real situation or something that, oh man, that's just like very, very nerve-wracking. What do I do? Okay, so let's get started. The question is, now PA, what comes first? The subs, the monitors, the mixer, etc. Okay, and I'll get to the next question in a minute. So here's the thing. Here's what I tell everybody. Get your band there on time. If you're running sound by yourself, okay, well, show up early. I mean, you have no other excuse, no reason, right? I'm a firm believer of the 2-hour rule. Showing up 2 hours before you get to your gig, right? Whether you're the musician, singer, roadie, whatever it is you do, show up 2 hours. When you're on sound, I don't care what you do in a band. 2 hours, because let me tell you, something always happens. Okay, so you have 1 hour in case something happens and you're not there on time. Okay, that gives you an hour of flexibility, and then the second hour is to test the equipment, to set up, to do all that stuff, right? It takes, I mean, for a drummer to set up comfortably, it takes anywhere from 30 minutes, I kid you not, to 45 minutes. That's what according to me, that's what I calculate. 45 minutes, I'm good, man. 30 minutes, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, and then having a sound check, you have to have a sound check. You know what I mean? At least one song. If you're using in your monitors, you gotta have a sound check. And I'm not gonna lie, there's always something happening. Even if you use floor monitors, it's the same thing. Something always happens. Something is, man, just things happen all the time. Cables, something, the Wi-Fi is not acting right, or your where's my iPad? I had an iPad here. Your iPad's not working, and you're controlling things, or using a snake, and something like one of the cables is cracked, whatever. Something's always happening. Show up on time. Unloading. What I do, what I've done, what I did, and what I would do again is unloading the biggest thing, right? The subs. That's the heaviest things, I think, right? Power subs, most likely. So unload the subs and put them where you're gonna be, like where the stage is gonna be. Unload the tops and put them where the tops are gonna be. And think about it this way, right? So if you show up and unload everything, like the speakers and all that stuff, and you just leave it all on stage. Now you have to scramble everything that you have, and imagine you have like 4 or 5 people there figuring out, okay, where does this go? And it's like a pandemonium. I mean, it's a mess. You have people on the way, right? The quickest thing, the smartest thing to do is, if you're gonna unload the subs, if you're gonna use them on the sides of the stage, okay, on the bottom, on the sides of the stage, facing forward, which I didn't do that because of sound cancellation issues, okay? You can do that if you want. Do your research. There's a special distance that you gotta have from sub to sub, okay? And it does create sound cancellation, especially when you're in the center on the dance floor. Okay, what I did was I treated my band like a DJ band, right? You have the subs, whether it's one sub or two subs in front of the stage on the center, right in front of the dance floor, because the dance floor, whether you're playing metal, whether you're playing jazz, whether you're playing dance music, the dance floor, that's where the people need to hear the intensity of the music. They're dancing, they're headbanging, they're having a really good time, right? Well, the rest of the people are sitting down, so they don't really need that projection. That, you see what I'm saying, right? That subs, I was told this, subs generate pressure. It's a pressure machine after a certain point, right? So they need that on the dance floor. They need that boom, 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 right? And what I would do is I would put 2 subs on the center in front. I would unload the tops and put them on the sides. And I would have a little speaker. I talk about it all the time, the alto. This alto speakers are awesome, the little 8 inches. I believe they're TS38. I think that's the one that I use. Anyway, so I would put that on top of the subs, in the center of the subs. So if somebody's dancing in front of the band, they can hear the high end, right? So they get the sub sound, like boom, boom, boom. And then that little speaker is made, in my eyes, is put there to give them some high end. So they don't hear just the subs, right? Okay, so you don't love the subs, put them wherever the hell you want to put them. I put them in the center. That's how I've always done it, okay? Because that way you have a nice, like, round, I guess a cardioid pattern, but whatever. And, if you're going to use 2 separate subs or 4 subs or 6 subs, right? However you're going to do, I do recommend that you use that technique that takes the bass away from the back. I have experienced that. It's annoying. All that low end going through the microphones. Man, I forget the name right now. I never used it, but I worked in a band that used it, and it worked really good. I didn't have to worry about that because I only used 2 subs. See, I kept it small. I didn't keep a lot of bass. And anyways, okay, so that's unloading. You unload everything like that. Unload the tops where the tops are gonna go, the subs where the subs are gonna go. Place them there. When you unload, it just sucks when you have new members, okay? Because they don't know where, like, they don't even know what they're doing a lot of times when they're loading or setting up. But if they're experienced, they'll know what to do. So anyways, I would say label everything if you can. For example, the stands, the microphone stands. If you have a gig bag that is a microphone stand gig bag, I kid you not, just put their mic stands. Do what you got to do. But so that way, when somebody grabs the microphone stands, well, who's going to use the microphone stands mainly? The singers in the front, the singer in the front, the guitar player in the front, the bass player in the front, right? If your drummer uses a stand, okay, well, you toss one to him later. But you bring that bag, you bring the stand. I suggest you never carry stands without a bag. Buy you a bag, a gator bag. Oh, hell, even those cheap bags that they sell from China. Who cares? Just put the microphone stands in the bag, right, in the carry bag, and drop it off right in the very front where the singers are going to be. That's one of the things that I liked about my singers, was that they knew where everything was, right? You would see a microphone stand bag in front of the location where they're going to be. Well, gee, that is the microphone stand bag, right? So go at it, grab it. Next thing would be the speaker stands, right? When you unload the speaker stands, I mean, if you're gonna use a bag to carry them, right? Most bags carry 2, I believe. So just, if you're one of those guys that just wants to get it out of there real quick, open the bag, put one stand on one side and put another stand next to the other speaker, hey, more power to you, right? That's what I did. I'm like OCD, right? I have to have everything, like, if I don't do something in a certain order, I will forget. I promise you that. And that's one of the questions that I had. This guy was saying, hey, man, I appreciate his questions. He asked, hey, man, well, let me get to it because I've been there, okay? When you forget, when somebody gets you distracted and you forget to turn one thing on or whatever. So let's move next, okay? Setting up the PA when it comes first, the subs, the monitors, the mixer. Yeah, so that's what I did. I brought the speakers, I unloaded. Whoever was helping me out at the time knew that. I would say, okay, let's get these first. So when you load your truck or your van or your trailer, remember to put the subs and the speakers, if you can, close to the end. That way you can grab them first when you show up to the gig, right? You get the heavy stuff out of the way. And why am I saying that? Because if you do it the other way, if you set up your drums and your guitars and your bass first, if you set up your location Then you're gonna move, okay, the big stuff. Well, now you're kind of, it just brings you a tired feeling, right? You just set up the little stuff. Okay, let me tune up my guitar. I'm plugged in. Well, okay, guys, let's go ahead and move the big caps now, the subs and the amps and all that. No, because that's heavier, man. That's it. Now you're gonna get tired. What's next? Now you got to play the show. Now you're tired. 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, and now you got to plug up all the stuff. And last minute stuff is a pain when it comes to PA. When you're trying to figure out what is going on with a PA, remember, something's always happening. I do PA first. So, anyways, unload the subs. See, I can keep going and on and on. Unload the subs, unload the stands, unload the tops. Okay, you're good to go. What's next? Okay, move stuff around. If there's a table on the way, move it away from the subs. If there's like a dance floor and there's stuff on the way, or tables and chairs on the way of the dance floor, move that around, right? Move it away. The drummer has to set up in a special place. Well, make sure there's nothing. Nobody has left anything, right? So that's what I would do next. You bring the mixing board with the equipment, okay? If you have a sound guy, I would tell, hey, start setting up, okay? Plugging up the cables, doing all that. If the band is running it, or one guy in the band's running, I would recommend start with a PA. Start plugging up with the PA. If you have a guitar player, hey man, help me plug these cables. Okay. You have a bass player. Hey man, help me put the speakers on the stands. Okay, cool. Hey man, do me a favor. The singers are not here. Go ahead and put the microphones and get that PA, all that PA stuff, get it out of the way. That way, when you're done with the PA, man, you can actually chill because you're ahead of the game. You see what I'm saying? It's not the opposite where you're like setting up your instrument. Everything's good. The drums are tuned. The cymbals are sounding good, right? Everybody tuned. Everybody happy. Well, let's do the PA now. Well, you got 20, 25 minutes, right, to get started probably. Something happened. And then you're in a hurry. And then the whole PA sounds like shit, right? And you forgot, like this guy was telling me, hey, I forgot to turn like half of the PA on. Yes, because somebody got him distracted. Now, what I would do is this. If you have the more prepared you are, the better. I mean, you're going to succeed. You're going to make your money. You're going to be happy. If you have a list of what to do, right, all the steps that you do, who cares? I mean, like, use it, right? It's not that you're dumb. It's like me, for example. If I don't have a list of things to do, I promise you, if somebody says, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Boom, there goes my memory. There goes everything. Oh, what the hell was I doing? I'm telling you, I don't know what happened to me as a child, but something happened, right? So that's how I do it, right? If you have to use a list, I mean, I'm not talking about, right, like a cheat sheet or something like that, or a list that you can just like think of seven or 8 or 9 or 10 things and just keep it on your head. Like, okay, first this, first that, then cables, then amps, then. Yeah, you just go like that, right? Okay, so everybody's setting up, everybody's good to go, the PA's set up, the sound guy's tweaking things out, he's asking you for a sound check, hey, hit the drums, right, check the drums and all that stuff, you're good to go. Your drummer's loud, okay? This is one of the questions. What do you do, man, when the drummer's loud and the guitar player, right, keeps turning it up? And this is the topic, and for this one, let me introduce my friend here. I'm not going to say the name because you know what happens, right? But let me sip a little bit because I'm about to tell you what's happened to me in that scenario. It's always been a struggle. The drummer, okay? Cymbals. Psh, especially the drummers that have the cymbals way out here, okay? I never did that. I always kept my cymbals down. I always heard excuses that, oh, it's for sound, man. Well, you got microphones. I mean, like, it really, you know what I'm saying? The high frequencies from the cymbals are so penetrating live. Sometimes you don't even need microphones because they bleed through the microphones. They bleed through the toms. They bleed through. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes cymbals are not even necessary to mic. I like to mic them just for reference, just so you can hear the crispness, right? Definition, the high end. That's definitely something when you're in a live performance, a wedding, right? It's a long venue. Anyway, so guitar players, that affects guitar players, especially guitar players that have a cabinet, because remember, a guitar player is kind of on the high range. It's on the mid-range to high range. And a lot of sound guys, okay, in order to give the job that the bass does, the bass player, a lot of sound guys have to turn the bass down on the guitar. Remember, a lot of guitar players sit there for days, for hours, for months, tweaking their tone, and when they show up to the gig, well, the sound guy has to turn their low end or has to give them a bass cut or low cut, right, or a high pass or whatever you call it, in order to not overcrowd the low range from the whole system, from the whole band. So you have to let the bass do his job, right? So anyways, guitar players, what do? They have a cabinet behind them. It's usually pointing at their ass. It's pointing at the back of their legs. They don't understand this. I don't hate you guitar players, but man, like my guitar player, he understands that completely. I don't have to worry about nothing, right? He's good. He good. So anyways, other guitar players don't think that way. They think they got a cabinet, they got a mess of boogie, they have so many watts that they're gonna push that shit and it's gonna destroy the rest of the band. The people that are, in front of the stage, well, their head level's like right here, right? And they got the two low speakers from the 4x12 cabs pointed right. And you hear that. I mean, it's just awful, okay? So there's always that battle. So what's even worse is when guitar players in a practice room, right? There's a drummer and the guitar player points his shit right in front towards the drummer, right? So the drummer has to play louder. He can't hear his stuff. And it's annoying when your toms usually sound like chin, chin, chin. Now they sound because all that high end has been destroyed in your ear by the guitar player, right? So now you have to play louder. Now if you're a drummer and you have control of your sound, now you have to turn up. The guitar player turns louder. The irony, the stupidity that there's a cabinet pointing at the back of the guitar player's legs is just, the whole idea is just dumb. If you can lean it back so it points at your ears, at the back of your ears, somehow that's better, okay? I know it's not what you want. It's not projecting the sound forward. You can still mic it though, and it's going towards the ceiling at least, right? But here's the thing. You have to be honest with these people, man. You have to tell the guitar player, hey man, I can't turn you up. If I turn you up, then I have to turn everybody up and it's gonna sound like shit. If you give me a controlled volume, if you give me a volume that stays there at the show, I can play with it, I can make you sound great. That it sucks because some guitar players are egotistical. They don't want to deal with that, okay? I've encountered guitar players that will drive you crazy, okay? And then there's drummers that I used to be that drummer. I used to be that drummer that I would hit the drums so hard, okay, that I would have to constantly go back to Guitar Center with a cracked cymbal, hoping that Zildjian would replace that cymbal. And sometimes they wouldn't replace it by the way it was cracked, right? So if it was a manufacturer's error, it would crack a certain way. It would crack in an angle like the way of the ring. But if you were cracking the very edge, well, that means you're hitting on the very edge, right? So yeah, and so many times I used to do that. Then I started playing for church. Then I played in electric drums. And then I learned how to actually calm myself down and not play so hard. Even in rock and metal, I can still play that, but I actually have control of things. Because I know some things don't sound good when you beat the fuck out of the drums, when you beat the hell out of the cymbals. Like really hard hitting cymbals sounds so awful, man. Like you'll turn the tops down, you'll turn the overheads down, and you can still hear the destroying the high range, right? So it doesn't sound digital anymore. Then it sounds just like a 70s band through like all these speakers and like one little 100 amp, amplifier trying to push all that. I mean, seriously, no. You have to put your foot down and tell the guitar player, listen, man, if you're gonna use a cabinet, you have to turn that shit down, or you have to turn it to the volume that I tell you, right? Because it ain't gonna work like that. I will make you sound good, I promise, but you cannot crank it up like you're doing it, okay? If they want to run straight, if they agree to run straight into the board, oh man, whether you use a DI or use an amp simulator, whatever you use, yes, perfect. Okay, you got it. Once you have him there, right? Once he's in the board, directing the board, you can't go wrong. That's exactly what you want. That's now you can modify the sound. Now you can mold it. You can send it to the monitors. You can whatever you want, right? Same thing with the bass player. Watch out, because there's bass players that actually have the gear, okay, to crank that shit up and destroy the drummer's bass drum and not let it do its job, right? Not let it do the accentuation and the punches, right? Keyboard players, hey man, run them straight. Never let them use a keyboard amp or mic the keyboard. No, none of that stuff. Just run them straight. Same thing in the band that I've been playing at, the band that I played at recently before the COVID. We went straight all the way in. No amps on stage at all, and that was the rule. No amps on stage. We had a bass player that came in one time with a little amplifier. Like, no, you're not plugging that in. You know, I'll give you what you want. I'll give you the bass and the in-ears. And even I had a little bitty 15-inch sub that I would put it next to the bass player, but pointing towards the crowd, so it would help him out a little bit on the low end. You know, when you need to feel that low end on your body as opposed to just the in-ears, that actually helps out a lot. So get you a 15-inch sub if you have one, and place it close to the bass player. And don't point it into the stage though, because the vocals will probably catch out of feedback. But point it outwards, and he'll probably feel the floor. He'll feel it on the floor. He'll feel it next to him. Anyway, so yeah, let me continue reading the question. Remember, I have an old smoky outside with some charcoal, and it's and I'm gonna cook some pork chops tonight. Okay, so if ringing out a room is necessary, yes, I would. If you don't know about that stuff, I wouldn't worry about it. If you have a sound guy that knows about rooms and frequencies, and there's rooms that are long, there's rooms that are wide, there's rooms that have a really tall, roof ceiling, there's rooms that are in a crazy angle, there's rooms, I mean, we can go on forever, okay? But yes, if you have a sound guy that shows up and rings the room and checks the room and knows what frequencies are affecting the sound within that room, yeah, man, do what you got to do. And like I said, all this stuff takes time. You have to show up early. You have to show up very early. I mean, for that kind of stuff, I would show up early. I mean, the last thing you want to do is start checking a room, or testing a room. If you're going to use white noise or any of that, or pink noise, and any of that stuff, well, you need people not to be there. You don't want to bother them with any of that stuff, right? Okay, let's keep moving. Yeah, when a drummer won't play quieter. Okay, so here's the deal with the drumming thing. If the drummer can't keep it down, it's an art, believe me, okay? When you're a drummer, when you go from metal or rock, right, and you're used to banging them things, right, now you have to play light, and you've never done that before. That's like you've been having sex with your wife for 20, 30 years, right, a certain way, and then she goes, hey, by the way, let's go ahead and switch it. I don't like it like that anymore. Let's do this. And you're like, oh, everything that I learned, everything that I'm focused on. Exactly. It's just like that, man. It's blue balls. But it teaches you that you can actually use your brain more than your muscle memory, if that makes any sense. You can control yourself, I used to be the drummer that would always, in every build up, boom, 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 oh, crash the crap out of anything I could, even the crash, even like the China, the hi-hats. I would crash anything I could just to make that one end of the drop just as loud as I could, right? Like, fuck 808s. I got the loudest, right cymbal that sounds like a gong, like anyway, so yeah, drummers like that, you can offer to, if you're a sound guy, you can bring, yes, it's going to cost you money. It's going to probably cost you about like $500. But I would bring a shield. It's not a glass. I forget what it is. It's a plexiglass shield. That helps out a lot when the singers are having a hard time. They sell these little bitty things that actually look like cymbals, but they're see-through. You can put them on cymbal stands. And wherever that singer is, you can put it right in front of that cymbal, so that singer, it doesn't go straight to them, right? Yeah, that is a pain, man. If you're drummer, or if the drummer, if you're the sound guy and you have to do sound on a loud drummer, well, you know what to do, man. You don't have to turn him all the way up, because he's already projecting from where he's at, and he's even creating like reverb. I mean, not reverb, but the overtones when you're on the stage and the drummer's louder, right, than the PA. I don't know if you've ever been to a show, but when they use little speakers only for the guitars and only for the vocals, and the drums have no speakers, and then you're like, there's a certain mid-range low frequency that's like overwhelming. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. When you go to those little bar and cantinas, you know what I'm talking about when they don't use subs or anything like that. So yeah, get a shield, man. Get a plexiglass shield. Tell the guy to turn the hell down, because this is affecting the sound of the whole band. See, once again, that's when you got to know how to control yourself. You know, if you're a pro musician, you're gonna know how loud to be. If you're not a pro musician, or you're dealing with people that are not pros, okay, that are banging the crap out of the drums, and they're like, they just want to show off, and they're just so loud that there's nothing you can do. But you want to get that money, right? Like, let's say you're doing sound for an original band, and they suck, man, and they're destroying the sound and all that. Man, just try your best, right? Try your best. Make them sound as best as you can with what you're dealing with. I've been in shows where one dude got on the sound guy's face one time, and the sound guy almost knocked him. They had to hold the sound guy back because this dude was telling him, hey, you're making this band sound like crap. And the guy was like, you don't even know I'm trying my hardest to not make it sound like crap, and they suck. And the guy got on his face. That is true, man. There's people that will get on your face. You can do your best to make a band sound good, but sometimes you can only do so much with what you have, right? I mean, I've seen bands that show up with like shitty bass drums, with like, you know, like I saw a guy one time show up at a badass club here in Houston, and his bass drum had like a sheet, and it was like a sheet of 101 Dalmatians, you know, so it wasn't a drum head, it was just a sheet, and you couldn't put the microphone in. And you know, when you don't put the microphone in close to the beater head, you know, to the batter, or the batter head, beater head, batter, you don't get that sound. You know what I'm talking about, right? So the farther away you're from the head, the less punchiness you get, the less high-end kick you get, right? Anyways, get a shield. Tell the guy to buy a shield. If there's no choice, man, I mean, an electric drum set is key. You know, a Roland where you have all outs, like you have 8, 10, 12 outs, right? You can do whatever you want. But with an acoustic drum set, the loud guy, you can't help him, man. It sucks. You have to talk to him, right? Hey, man, please do me a... But you're not, believe me, you're not going to change his mind in one show with one talk. He'll have to... That's the kind of thing you learn from people from years telling you, hey, man, you're too loud. Hey, can you turn it down? Hey, it doesn't sound good. A drummer gets to that, man, and then once he realizes, like, oh my god, my whole life I've been playing so freaking loud and so annoying, and the sound guys hate that, and it's a rude awakening. Okay, let's move on, because I got the pit in there. Okay, what to do with the drummer and the guitar player? Okay, the guitar player already told you have to talk to him. You know, if you can get him to just play straight, run straight into the mixing board, even better. Okay. Seems to be a common theme, the drums and the guitarist, and I had her time getting the vocals on top. Yeah, exactly, because the drums and the guitar player are battling each other, and in the meantime, the vocals that showed up ready, singing at the range they're supposed to be, they rehearse their part, they have 2 little kids competing for the loudness, right? And the singers, keyboard player, whoever, trumpet player, remember, they're in a different level. They have to hear things in a different way. And you got people freaking on the back, the drummer just bah, 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 bah. Can't even hear the notes sometimes, can't even hear the picking, the timing. If you're using the click track, sometimes I play with drummers that if you have crappy in-ear monitors, they will destroy your in-ear monitors because you can hear them. They're not going to destroy them physically, but the sound, because you can hear them from the outside, it's just so loud. Okay, so you get that. What's next? I noticed when set up, I get off track. Yes, remember, have your list. And if somebody says something to you and you're doing something, for real, put your hand there like, wait a minute, and go turn that speaker on, the one that you forgot to turn on, or the whole side, or the plug, or whatever it is, okay? And if you can leave I mean, I'm serious, man. If you can leave a shoe, okay, or put a tape, or put a chair in the middle of whatever you were doing, okay, go ahead, what do you need? Because it could be the manager of a bar. It could say, hey, man, I need you to move this, or hey, your car, you know, you need to move your truck, or hey, you guys are having another band play before you, whatever, right? Because something's always happening. Hey, where's the bathroom? And you're like, okay, over there. What was I doing? That happens to me all the time. It sucks. So leave yourself a reminder. If you know how you work, I mean, nobody else knows how your brain works but you, right? So if you're like that, if you're like me, leave something there that reminds you, oh shit, this is what I was working on. Let me get back to that, okay? Okay, it took me 20 minutes to figure out after everything sounded great. Okay, yeah, so there you go. There's the questions that I wanted to answer to you. Thank you so much. It's really cool to get questions like that. Makes me feel important, makes me feel like I can help somebody. And remember, this is just my opinion. You handle your business however you want. But I believe a true professional is going to do the things that I'm telling you. A true professional is going to have at least a mental list of what to do when you get there. You don't want to waste any time. I mean, like, yes, you have to get there to the place and actually look at the room and say, oh, shoot, I'm going to need more sub action for this, right? Or I'm going to need more tops on this one, or the room's at an angle. You need to place an extra speaker on the side just to feed that whole area, right? I've done that all the time. Show up early. That's a pro. A pro shows up early. And my word of advice is, if you're working with somebody, like we talked about, a guitar player, a drummer, that is just like you've seen it. Like, I recommend watching their videos before you're going to work with somebody. Watch their videos and see what they're up to. Look at their YouTube videos, look at their Facebook, their Instagram, and just watch them. And if you think you're going to have trouble with that person, man, before you get to the show, try to communicate certain things. Hey, just letting you know I'm bringing this, and that. And then I'm set up for this and this and that. You know, if they ask for special requests, be honest. Say, no, I'm not set up for that. Maybe in the future, but right now, this is all I have, right? And if they're asking you to cut off the rate because there's something that you don't have that they want, and they want you to lessen the price of what you're charging, hell no. I mean, it costs money to get to a location, number one. It costs money for a person to load all this stuff into a vehicle, because it's a science. Remember that, okay? It's a science. People don't understand that. The loading of the equipment, it's a science. It takes seriously, it takes special care and know how to do things. If you have a trailer, remember, you have to place everything close to the axle so the axle does its job, right? I've seen bands that push everything to the front and that trailer's like bouncing up and down. It's crazy, right? Okay, I gotta go. I got some pork chops that I need to cook. My girl coming home, my kids walking around like, what the hell's happening? Are you doing another video? Yes, I'm trying to help somebody out. So I hope you like my videos. I got more reviews coming up. I got my review on the Roland drum set, TD50K. I've been using it for 5 years. That's what's next, but it's so intricate. There's so many pieces to it, and there's so much behind this unit, behind these drums, and it's gonna be a video that I'm gonna have to work it really hard, okay? I'm gonna have to even go in order, because you know how I do, right? I talk. So anyways, I'll see you soon. Remember, subscribe to my channel, share my channel. If you like what I'm doing, man, give me a thumbs up, do whatever it is you gotta do. And I will see you later, and ask me more questions like that. Everybody, please do that, okay? I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much. Gonzo Marino signing out. Peace.